and welcome to the ongoing series of Icons of Relocation podcast. My name is Simon Johnston. I'm the CEO of Icon Relocation, and today we're discussing what is happening in the London rental market. And most importantly, why are we seeing so many large changes? It's really common for anybody relocating to the UK to ask some key questions around this, such as why are rental prices increasing? What's happening in the area of interest to me? Why are stock levels reducing at the moment? And perhaps most importantly, what are the underlying factors behind this? So what we're going to do is just take a moment and dive into this and see what's really happening on the UK market and what does it mean for somebody about to relocate here. Now, there's been plenty of talk in the press about housing markets, and I know this is not unique to the UK either. And they're talking about the fact rents have increased quite dramatically. So the first question to ask, is the press predominantly right? Has the rental increased by the levels that they're suggesting? And the straight answer is yes, they have. However, it does vary depending where in the UK you are. There are quite some differences in regard to this. Now, first thing to point out is that the UK is predominantly seen as a home ownership culture. And while that's correct, most people do own properties here. The rental market is still considerably larger than most people realise. According to UK government data, 4.3 million properties are available for rent in the UK, of which 13 million people rent properties in this country rather than own or buy them. And allowing for the fact that house prices are increasing so much, that's probably a statistic that's going to increase in the coming years, not actually decrease. Also, looking at our data as well as some external data, we can see that there's been substantial changes to the rental market, but the real key focus is on inner London. And it's worth taking a moment to have a look at this. Only a year ago, us and other parties were saying that rental prices in central London or inner London have reduced by about 10%. That's completely reversed now. Inner London has seen average rent changes from £2,001 per calendar month in July of 2021 to £2,672 per calendar month, an increase of 33.6%. According to newly released data from Hamptons. Hamptons also confirmed that Greater London has seen an increase of 12.4%, so an average of £1,787 per calendar month has now moved to an average of £2,008 per calendar month. And for Great Britain overall, this is increased by a level of 8.3%, and that's including London data. Our own systems allow us to track what is happening on the property market in regard to stock levels. Our systems are saying over the last 6 months, there has been a reduction of 60.65% of properties available on the open market. PropertyMark recently confirmed that the average letting agent is only now holding 11 new rental properties per month on average across the country. With some locations, we're seeing an increase in this, which is extremely positive. However, this is still much lower than the market really requires. Their report goes on to say that the average UK agent receives 93 new applicants registered looking for those properties, therefore resulting in about 8 applicants for every new rental property coming on the market. However, in London, please note the numbers of potential tenants is considerably higher than the national average. So, what's fueling this increase in demand? Well, there are a number of variables to this, and with all markets, there are perhaps more than we can really discuss in this podcast. However, there are clearly some aspects that we can clearly see that are worth investigating. Firstly, people are not moving out of their current rental homes in the same number they did previously. Most tenants are staying much longer in their current rental homes rather than looking to move. This in turn is reducing the overall level of stock. With rental prices increasing so much, it's highly surprising that people are looking to stay where they are. However, this isn't being felt in all locations. Furthermore, many of the rentals being completed are now on much longer initial terms. Before COVID, a rental of, say, a typical rental contract would be, say, 12 months with a 6-month break clause with an option for year 2 and year 3. What is now becoming very common is that tenants are taking these properties for a 24-month period without a break clause. Now, that's not saying they're all like that, but that's kind of more common. So the end result of that is those properties are not coming back onto the market again in the same space of time that you would expect. It's also worth noting the UK is really open for business again, which I have to say is great news. So COVID really has been passed. So the numbers of people moving to the UK has greatly increased. Savills recently reported that there has been a rental renaissance buoyed by strong demand by both domestic and overseas tenants, with particular attention to the USA. This increase of people moving to Britain is also matched by high numbers of people moving within the UK. So during COVID, lots of people moved out of the cities into the countryside where they can get properties with more space. However, now COVID has passed, people are looking to move back into the cities. Sadly, this increase in people moving back in is matched by a decrease in landlords leaving the market. So why are landlords leaving the market? Well, there's a number of reasons for this. One of the aspects is house prices have dramatically increased. So therefore, if you're a landlord, you can't but notice that your housing portfolio is increased in value, and therefore a lot of them are tempted to sell those properties. Those rental properties are going in the sales market and leaving the overall number of stock available. However, there are also other aspects. There are new legislations coming in with a particular attention to Section 21 of the Renters Reform Act. Now, one of the things they're saying there is there's going to be no fault evictions. Now, this on its own is not really seen as a problem. In fact, in some ways, it's a positive step. It's there to protect tenants, to make sure that any rogue landlords, if you like, who are looking to evict somebody for no fault because they want to get a new tenant in who may present a higher return on rent for them, the idea of this is to prevent that happening. However, is also a factor that this is going to become a concern to professional landlords, as many of them will find it more difficult to take possession of their homes should there be any complications. A recent report by Nationwide owned service called The Mortgage Works has indicated that as many as 25%, so 1 in 4 landlords, will sell all or many of their rental homes if Section 21 is abolished. It's also worth highlighting that this will not apply to all rental contracts. There are 2 exceptions to this. One is if the rent is in excess of £100,000 per annum, and the other is if the rental is in the company's name, not the individual's name. In both of those scenarios, it will fall outside the assured short-term tenancy, and therefore any changes to Section 21 will not affect this. Separately to all this, we have the changes to the EPC, or the Energy Performance Certificates. Now, what this is doing is every property coming to the market has to be rated between a band of A and F, A being the most efficient and F being, well, not good. And what they are saying within England at the moment is that any property coming onto the market must be band C or higher. Now, in principle, this is a very good comment to make. However, it is estimated around 3.5 million properties may fall short of these standards. These tend to be the older properties, typically sort of the Victorian properties, which are incredibly popular and lovely homes to live in, but they're also difficult to convert to the level that's necessary to be a band C or higher. Therefore, many landlords, it's going to be more cost effective for them to sell these properties. And by doing so, we are reducing the level of stock in the UK market still further. As mentioned, there are many multiple parties ready to rent any property that comes onto the market. So with that in mind, it's really important to make sure that anybody relocating here has some of the best tips available. So therefore, as we're in the competitive market, we're going to share with you our top 6 tips to make sure that you're in the best position possible to secure property when you move to the UK. So first, be flexible. The housing market is seeing really high demand at the moment. So as I said, low stock and high demand for those properties that are coming onto the market. So by being flexible in locations, but also most importantly, be flexible in your ability to see properties quickly. There is a higher chance that you're going to find and secure property much quicker in your relocation process. Second tip is get the best advice possible. Be aware that the housing market has changed dramatically. If anybody's giving you advice that predates this year, however well meant, could be poor advice in the current market conditions. If you can't get good advice, please speak to people like ourselves at Icon Relocation. We have amazing market data and we can make sure you have the best advice possible. Next is to make sure that you place your best offer in initially. Why should you put your best offer initially? Simple answer is other tenants will. So make sure that you put your best offer forward from day one. Next, if you're moving with pets, then please consider having a pet CV. Many landlords who are looking to rent a property may be nervous about renting a property out to somebody moving in with pets. Therefore, sharing as much information about them and making it light-hearted and positive is very well received. As I mentioned, rental links are increasing at the moment. Therefore, consider looking to rent a property for a longer initial term. However, it's really important you get the best advice possible on this, so please make sure you speak to an expert before moving forward on that. And lastly, and perhaps most importantly, make sure that you can start your home search as early as possible. By looking for your property early in the process of relocating, you'll have a higher level of stock availability and a greater chance of finding the ideal property. Now, Icon Relocation are proud to say we move thousands of people for some of the top companies in the world in relocating the top talent into the UK. However, awareness of what's happening in the housing market and why it's changing can make a huge difference to the success of moving here. Please note that Icon Relocation holds perhaps the highest level of UK housing market data for any relocation company in the UK. For any of our clients and their relocating assignees, we provide a lot of this free of charge, and it's accessible by our free AreaWise app. Furthermore, we have an all-new system coming out fairly shortly that will give even more data to our clients and to their assignees right at your fingertips. So watch this space. We'll be announcing some really exciting details about this new app very shortly. Lastly, please be aware that all the information provided here is for guide purposes only. We believe it to be accurate, but however, it has to be for guide purposes. Lastly, moving to the UK is an amazing experience. There is housing stock available. We can and we do find properties for people, but awareness of what is happening in the housing market can make a huge difference for you. So we look forward to relocating you. If anybody's got any questions in regard to moving to the UK, please contact us. We'd love to discuss it with you. And I hope you find this helpful, and we look forward to speaking to you again soon. Take care.